ladies and gentlemen, let's be real for a moment. How many times have you woken up and thought, I don't feel like working today? Maybe you've been tired, overwhelmed, or just plain uninspired. But here's the truth that no one wants to talk about. You will never feel like it all the time. Let me say it again. You will never feel like it all the time. There are days when your energy is low, when the world feels heavy, and when your mind starts telling you, it's okay to take a break today. But let me tell you something, that break will cost you. It will cost you your momentum, it will cost you your progress, it will cost you the results you're chasing, and when you take that break, that moment of weakness, it will become easier to do it again and again. Before you know it, the break turns into a habit, and habits, they are powerful, but they don't always work in your favor. Now you might be thinking, but I'm not feeling motivated, what do I do then? I'll tell you what you do. You work anyway. Let's break this down for a second. Motivation is a beautiful thing. When it hits, it's like rocket fuel. You feel like you could conquer the world. But here's the thing. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes, and if you're waiting for motivation to show up to do the hard work, you're going to be waiting a long time. Motivation is a powerful force. When it hits, it feels like everything is possible. You feel energized, focused, and ready to take on the world. But here's the reality. Motivation is not a constant companion. It comes in waves. Sometimes it's abundant, and other times it's completely absent. If you rely solely on motivation to push you through your work or goals, you're setting yourself up for inconsistency. You're at the mercy of your mood, your energy levels, and external circumstances. When motivation is low or absent, you might find yourself struggling to take even the smallest step forward. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline is different from motivation. Discipline is not a fleeting feeling or an emotion that you wait for. It's a mindset, a decision, and a practice that you can call upon at any time. While motivation is something that often requires external triggers or a specific set of conditions to show up, discipline is a choice you make, even when everything inside of you is telling you to quit. It's the ability to take action regardless of how you feel in the moment. Discipline doesn't need permission to show up. It's the inner drive that pushes you to keep going when motivation is nowhere to be found. Think about it. How many times have you woken up feeling tired or uninspired, yet you forced yourself to get out of bed and take action anyway? How many times have you done something that you didn't feel like doing simply because you knew it was necessary? That's discipline in action. It's the power of sticking to a plan even when your emotions try to convince you otherwise. While motivation might get you started on a project or an idea, discipline is what keeps you moving forward when the initial excitement fades. Without discipline, the highs of motivation are often short-lived, and you're left stranded when the enthusiasm wears off. It's easy to confuse motivation with the belief that it's something you must feel in order to take action. We've all been there, waiting for the moment when we're inspired or ready to work, thinking that once we feel motivated, everything will fall into place. But that's not how success works. The truth is, success isn't built on the moments when you feel motivated. It's built on the moments when you show up and perform even when motivation is nowhere to be found. It's about making a decision to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. Think of the many successful people you admire. Do you really believe they feel motivated every single day? Of course not. What sets them apart is their ability to keep moving even when motivation is absent. Their success is a result of consistently doing the work, of showing up day after day, of making the choice to continue pushing forward even when it's tough. Discipline allows them to continue when others might quit. It's the secret ingredient that fuels long-term progress. Here's something crucial to understand. Discipline doesn't mean forcing yourself to do something you hate. It means committing to the process, trusting that the actions you take, no matter how small, will compound over time. It's about building habits that serve you in the long run. When you cultivate discipline, it becomes easier to show up consistently, and the actions become less about relying on motivation and more about your commitment to the goal. This is why successful people often talk about the importance of habits. Habits don't require motivation. They're automatic, ingrained actions that are performed without the need to feel inspired. Whether it's exercising every morning, working on a project every day, or even just setting aside time for personal development, habits take the decision-making out of the equation. When you establish good habits, you create a system that doesn't rely on fluctuating emotions or external circumstances. You simply follow through day after day, no matter what. Feelings are powerful, and they certainly influence the decisions we make. But here's the truth. Feelings are temporary, and they don't always align with what's best for us. One day you might feel on top of the world, ready to conquer every challenge that comes your way. The next, you could feel overwhelmed, uninspired, or just plain exhausted. If you let your feelings dictate your actions, you're constantly at the mercy of what's going on inside your head or your body at any given moment. And let's be honest, that's not a recipe for success. If you've ever been in the middle of a tough project or a long-term goal, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There are days when you feel unstoppable, when the work is flowing easily and the motivation is at an all-time high. But then there are the other days, the days when you're dragging yourself out of bed, when everything seems harder than it should be, and when the thought of doing the work feels like a mountain you just can't climb. On those days, you might think, I'll just wait until I feel better. But the problem is, waiting for feelings to change can lead to procrastination, missed opportunities, and ultimately a lack of progress. Here's the key. You can't wait for feelings to tell you what to do. You can't afford to let your emotions dictate your success or failure. Feelings are often unreliable, fluctuating based on factors like your energy, your environment, or even the weather. One minute you're in the mood to work, and the next you're ready to give up entirely. If you wait for the right feeling to show up every time you need to take action, you'll never get anything done. Success is not built on waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, or the perfect alignment of the stars. Success is built on the decision to act, regardless of how you feel. Action is the antidote to indecision. When you take action, whether you feel like it or not, you're telling your feelings, I'm in control here. The more you take action, the more you train yourself to act regardless of your emotions. It's not about ignoring your feelings or pretending they don't exist. It's about recognizing that your feelings are not always aligned with your best interests. You can acknowledge that you're tired or frustrated or not in the mood to work, but that doesn't mean you stop moving forward. Your ability to take action even when you don't feel like it is what sets you apart from those who wait for the perfect moment to act. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not that successful people feel motivated every day. It's that they don't let how they feel stop them from doing the work. The successful person recognizes that emotions are temporary, and they don't let temporary feelings dictate their long-term outcomes. They know that if they wait for motivation, they'll waste valuable time. Instead, they push through the discomfort, the lack of enthusiasm, and the fatigue because they understand that consistent action is what moves them forward. This is where discipline plays a crucial role. Discipline is the ability to make decisions based on what needs to be done, not how you feel in the moment. It's about showing up even when you're not feeling it. It's about doing the work even when the initial excitement has faded or when you're not feeling inspired. Discipline doesn't require you to feel a certain way. It simply requires you to act in alignment with your goals and your commitments regardless of your emotional state. And in the long run, discipline becomes the engine that keeps you moving forward when everything else wants to hold you back. When you make the decision to take action, no matter how you feel, you're shifting your mindset from being reactionary to being proactive. You're no longer letting your emotions dictate your behavior. You're choosing to be the one in charge. And by doing this consistently, you'll build momentum that carries you through even the toughest days. Action is powerful, even when it feels hard, even when it feels like you're forcing yourself to move. Every step forward counts. Success is not something that happens overnight. It's not the result of a single burst of energy or a moment of inspiration. True success is built in the moments when you decide to push through resistance, when everything inside of you is telling you to stop, yet you keep going anyway. These moments, when you choose to continue despite the obstacles, fatigue, or distractions, are where the real growth happens. It's in these moments that success is quietly being forged. When you face resistance, whether it's external challenges or internal struggles, your initial reaction may be to back off. It's normal to want to avoid discomfort, to avoid the grind, to avoid anything that feels difficult. However, real success doesn't come from avoiding challenges. It comes from embracing them. Every time you push through resistance, you gain not just experience, but strength. It's in those moments that you prove to yourself that you're capable of handling more than you thought you could. Resistance is a signal that growth is occurring, and if you choose to move forward despite it, you're shaping the future version of yourself who can handle even more. Think about it. Every time you face a tough situation and decide to act rather than retreat, you're building resilience. Whether you're dealing with a tough project, a challenging relationship, or just the daily grind of work, resistance is always there, lurking. But it's not something to be feared. It's something to be embraced because it's the catalyst for your evolution. Every time you overcome resistance, you get stronger. You build your mental and emotional muscles, and you learn that you're capable of achieving things that once seemed impossible. One of the key reasons why people don't succeed is because they stop when things get hard. They hit a roadblock or face a challenge, and instead of pushing through, they let it derail their progress. They let resistance convince them that they're not capable, that they don't have the strength to continue. But the successful person understands that resistance is part of the process. It's not a sign to stop. It's a sign to dig deeper, to work harder, to find new ways to move forward. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who never face resistance. They're the ones who understand that resistance is an inevitable part of growth, and they refuse to let it stop them. When you persist in the face of resistance, you also create momentum. The more you push forward, the more progress you make, and the more progress you make, the more momentum you build. Momentum is a powerful force. It's the snowball effect of success. It's what keeps you going, even when you feel like giving up. The first step is always the hardest. But once you make it, you'll find that the next step is a little easier. And then the next and the next. Momentum compounds, and as you continue to push through resistance, you create a cycle of success that propels you toward your goals. But here's the thing, resistance doesn't go away. Every level of success you reach brings new challenges and obstacles. The more you grow, the more you'll be tested. That's why it's so important to build the habit of pushing through resistance now. Every time you face resistance and choose to continue, you're training yourself to handle bigger challenges down the line. The resistance you face today may feel tough, but it's preparing you for the even bigger challenges that lie ahead. The ability to push through resistance is not just about getting through today's task. It's about developing the mental fortitude to handle anything life throws at you. In the end, success isn't defined by how often you face resistance. It's defined by how often you choose to push through it. Every time you choose to move forward, despite the resistance, you're creating your future success. Every choice to persist, to overcome, to not give up when it's hard is a building block of the life you want to create. You might not see the results immediately, but trust me, every moment of perseverance is adding up. Those small moments of pushing through resistance, one after another, are the foundation of the success you're striving for. There's a common misconception that success is about waiting for the right moment or feeling like everything is aligned perfectly before taking action. The truth is, if you wait for the ideal moment to start working, you may be waiting forever. The reality is that you have to work even when you don't feel like it. And this is where most people fall short. They think that motivation is required to take action, or they wait until they're in the mood to get started. But the fact is, the key to success is consistency, showing up and doing the work whether you feel like it or not. Think about a time when you were able to accomplish something important or meaningful, but it didn't feel easy. Maybe you had to push through fatigue, distractions, or a lack of enthusiasm. At that moment, you may have felt like skipping it or taking the easy route, but you didn't. You chose to continue. And that choice to act, despite the lack of desire or motivation, is often the difference between success and failure. It's in those moments when you don't feel like it that you build the discipline that will carry you through the rest of your journey. In any pursuit, whether it's building a business, getting in shape, or mastering a new skill, there are going to be days when you don't feel motivated. There will be mornings when the bed feels too comfortable, when your body feels tired, or when your mind starts creating excuses about why it's okay to skip a day. But if you let those feelings control you, you'll never get anywhere. The key to achieving great things is not in waiting for perfect conditions or the perfect feeling. It's in the commitment to do the work, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Sometimes we think that if we're not motivated, the work will be subpar. But that's simply not true. The truth is, action breeds momentum. The more you work, the easier it becomes to continue working. Once you take that first step, no matter how small, you often find that the task becomes easier and motivation starts to build on its own. By forcing yourself to work, even when you don't feel like it, you begin to create a habit. And once something becomes a habit, it no longer relies on motivation. It becomes part of your routine. It's important to recognize that successful people don't rely on motivation to fuel their progress. They rely on their ability to show up consistently, even when their feelings are telling them otherwise. They understand that motivation is temporary and that the real power comes from being disciplined enough to take action even when the enthusiasm isn't there. And they understand that consistency is key. Success is the result of doing the work day after day, not just when it feels good or when the motivation is strong. In the long run, working even when you don't feel like it is what separates the successful from those who don't achieve their goals. It's easy to work when everything is going well, when you feel excited, when you're full of energy. But success is made during the times when things aren't going well, when your energy is low, or when you'd rather do anything else. Those are the moments that matter the most, because that's when you prove to yourself that your commitment to your goals is stronger than any temporary feeling. When you force yourself to work, you're not just pushing through a task, you're building character. You're developing the ability to stay committed no matter what. This is the kind of mindset that builds long-term success. It's the difference between someone who does what's easy and someone who does what's necessary. And the more you make a habit of showing up, even when you don't feel like it, the easier it becomes to continue pushing forward. Eventually, that action becomes second nature, and you don't have to rely on motivation at all. You're simply doing the work because it's who you are. The world is full of distractions, obstacles, and reasons to procrastinate. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that everything has to be perfect before you can take action, or that you need to wait for the perfect moment to make a move. But here's the hard truth. The exceptional don't wait for motivation to show up. They don't sit around hoping that the stars will align, that they'll wake up feeling inspired, or that everything will magically fall into place. No, the exceptional person shows up every day, no matter what. They make a commitment to themselves and their goals, and they honor that commitment, even when it feels tough, uncomfortable, or inconvenient. What separates exceptional people from the average person is their understanding of what it truly takes to succeed. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They create those conditions by showing up consistently, doing the work day in and day out. Whether it's building a business, improving their health, or mastering a skill, the exceptional person knows that success is not about having the perfect moment to start. It's about working through the imperfect moments and creating the momentum needed to achieve their goals. The average person waits for things to fall into place. They wait for the perfect time, the right feeling, or the right circumstances to align. They think that success will come when everything is perfectly set up for them. But the exceptional person understands that perfection is a myth. There will never be a perfect moment to start, never a perfect time when everything is going according to plan. The exceptional person doesn't wait for that moment. They act despite the uncertainty, despite the lack of motivation, and despite the obstacles that may lie ahead. The exceptional person understands that success is the result of consistent effort over time, not a one-time burst of motivation. They are willing to put in the work every single day, even when they don't feel like it. They don't wait for a sudden spark of inspiration to guide their actions. They create their own inspiration through the discipline of showing up and doing the work, regardless of how they feel. The exceptional person knows that the path to success is not a straight line. It's full of ups and downs, and the key to navigating that journey is the ability to keep going, even when the going gets tough. The truth is, most people fail not because they don't have the ability, but because they stop when things get difficult. They give up when the motivation wanes or when things don't go as planned. But the exceptional person keeps pushing through even when they don't feel like it, because they understand that every small step forward, no matter how insignificant it seems in the moment, is part of the larger picture. They understand that success isn't about waiting for the perfect feeling to strike. It's about building momentum through consistent action even when the conditions aren't ideal. This is why the exceptional person's success is inevitable. They've already made the decision to show up, to do the work, and to persevere through the challenges. They understand that waiting for motivation is a waste of time. Motivation can be unreliable, and if you wait for it to show up before you act, you may find yourself paralyzed by indecision or procrastination. But when you take action anyway, even when you don't feel like it, you take control of your destiny. You make progress no matter how small, and that progress compounds over time. The exceptional person gets this, and that's why they keep going even when things get tough. Success isn't a product of waiting, it's a product of showing up. The exceptional person doesn't wait for motivation to hit them like a lightning bolt. They create their own motivation by deciding to do what needs to be done no matter how they feel. They understand that success is the result of consistent, dedicated action over time, and they don't rely on temporary feelings to guide them. The exceptional person keeps going no matter what, because they know that the only way to succeed is to keep showing up. Consistency is the foundation of success, and without it, achieving long-term goals becomes nearly impossible. It's easy to be motivated at the start of a journey full of excitement and new ideas, but motivation alone is not enough. It's the consistent day in and day out actions that compound and lead to extraordinary results. The true power of success lies in doing the work consistently, even when you don't feel like it. We've all heard the phrase, success is a marathon, not a sprint. But what does that really mean? It means that achieving something meaningful is not about a single burst of effort. It's about keeping your focus and effort aligned with your goal over an extended period of time. The majority of people tend to get discouraged when they don't see immediate results. They start strong, but once the initial excitement fades, they slow down or give up altogether. They believe that without immediate results, their efforts aren't paying off. This is where consistency makes all the difference. When you commit to a goal and show up every single day, even when things feel difficult or when progress seems slow, you're building momentum. Momentum is what keeps you going. It's the force that carries you through the tough times and propels you toward your goal. Momentum doesn't come from an instant burst of energy. It comes from the small, everyday actions that you take. Those actions, even when they seem insignificant at the time, add up over. They create results, even if they don't show up immediately. For example, think about exercise. If you work out intensely for a week, you might see some immediate changes, but the real results come from consistent effort over months, sometimes years. When you commit to a daily routine, even on the days when you feel tired or unmotivated, you begin to see the compound effect. It's not about pushing yourself beyond your limits every single day. It's about showing up regularly and steadily, making progress, and improving little by little. That consistency leads to transformation. This principle applies to anything that requires long-term effort, from building a business to learning a new skill. The people who succeed are the ones who commit to consistency, who show up day after day, even when they don't see immediate results or when obstacles get in the way. They understand that long-term success is not about one big push. It's about building momentum, staying focused, and continually taking action regardless of the challenge. It's about pushing through the resistance, even when you feel like quitting. One of the main reasons people give up too soon is because they don't see results quickly enough. They expect immediate success, or they believe that if they're not progressing quickly, they're failing. But the truth is, progress is often slow at first. It takes time to build the habits, systems, and processes that lead to long-term success. And without consistency, that progress is impossible to achieve. It's easy to get discouraged, but if you stick with it and continue taking action day after day, you will start to see the fruits of your labor. Success doesn't happen in one grand moment. It happens in the quiet moments of daily effort, and it compounds over time. Consistency also builds character. When you continue showing up, even on days when you'd rather not, you build resilience and mental toughness. You learn to push past your own limitations, to continue even when things are tough, and to keep working toward your goals no matter the obstacles in your path. Consistency creates habits that become second nature. You no longer need to rely on motivation to get the work done. It becomes a part of who you are and how you operate. In the end, those who are successful are the ones who understand that consistency is key. They are not necessarily the most talented, the most motivated, or the most gifted. They are the ones who commit to doing the work consistently, even when it's hard. They understand that success is built over time, and they are willing to do the work day in and day out, knowing that every action they take brings them closer to their goal. Consistency is the secret that turns small incremental progress into massive long-term success